Welcome to the Simply Incredible Podcast. I am Daryl, a.k.a. The D, and tonight we have Josh, JPZ Inc.
You almost forgot my name there.
I seriously did. I was like, I had something, but anyway. And T-Roy. Troy is back.
Hello.
Troy.
I'm here.
And tonight we are talking about the X-Men movies, 1, 2, and 3.
Woohoo!
Woo!
Josh, what do you got on this? I hear you're an expert.
No, I'm not an expert, but dude, I do love the X-Men. I'm a product of the 80s, so, I grew up, first it was He-Man, then it was Ninja Turtles, then the X-Men show came on about 93. I was 11 years old, so I was just completely infatuated with this cartoon. I absolutely loved it. I used to actually record it on VHS so I could watch it on Saturday mornings and watch it a couple more times throughout the week.
Yeah.
Good
And,
stuff.
That's the time of Jim Lee was putting out his comic books. I was full nerd mode back then. I was
That's awesome.
comic books. I was the show. And I even had like the little trading cards,
Yep.
like the rare foil ones.
Dude, that's
the
good
characters with like their stats on the back and stuff. I absolutely love this. So that's my history of X-Men going into these movies. I had a big expectation for these movies, so I'm going to be pretty critical on these movies. So you guys got to bring the positivity because I'm going to be negative Nancy.
I love
over here.
them.
But you really did like the cartoon a whole lot.
I absolutely love the dude. I still remember 20 years later. I remember the intro.
Oh, yeah.
Which cartoon was that? Was it just X-Men?
Yeah, the
X-Men, the
X-Men.
animated series.
Oh, because I've seen like various X-Men. I didn't know which one.
Yeah, it
The
started
first,
in
the
93.
original.
It was on Fox Saturday
Yeah.
mornings, and I had the Uncanny X-Men comic books. Dude, X-Men's
Oh,
my
I love
stuff.
those comic books.
I love it.
I love those.
Yes.
Well, that's the one thing. I read the comic books, and I love them so much that when I saw the cartoon, it was almost a little, more created for a younger audience.
I believe so. Yeah.
And-
But I was
and-
11, so I ate it
Yeah,
up.
but I was a little bit older, and I was
Yeah.
just like, oh man, and they kind of made it for a different audience than what the comic books were. So they weren't my favorite, but now I can look at them and dig them a lot more.
Yeah. If you go back and watch them, they still hold up. They are a little geared towards the youth. They have a few corny moments.
and a
in them,
little
but-
dated.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's some of the charm too. I mean, it's good.
Yeah. All right, so a little brief history of who the X-Men are. Stan Lee created this comic in 1963. He was churning out so many comic book characters back then. He's like, I can't make a book for every one of these characters. We got to start lumping them together. So he's like, I'm going to throw them in a group. We're going to call them mutants. And, if we ever come up with a new hero that doesn't deserve his own book, we'll just throw them in with the X-Men.
Oh, that's good. All right.
Good idea.
Basically. So, it actually started in 63 and it ran to 1970 for seven years, and they actually lost interest. People weren't feeling the Uncanny X-Men, so they stopped it for 5 years. It was canceled in 70 and brought back in 1975 when Jack Kirby jumped on board.
See, I didn't know they stopped them.
I didn't know that
I just
either.
thought it was a continuous run.
And it's ran from 75
Yeah.
to current, but for 5 years, the world had no X-Men.
And I'm embarrassed I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'd never heard that.
Oh, you
Yeah.
comic book geeks.
Man,
turn your licenses.
I know. I got to
Yes.
turn my card
Yes.
in.
One thing cool about the X-Men is like a bunch of characters in comic books, they're kind of metaphors for real life. Last week we talked about the Hulk, and what is the Hulk? He's dealing with your inner anger. What do you do when you want to punch something or break something? And the Hulk deals with it on a fantastic level. When he loses it, he destroys a city.
Right,
So-
and if he feels weak and no power, when he gets into a moment where he needs it, he can call on it.
Yeah,
And it comes
yeah.
in.
So X-Men, they're kind of the metaphor for just oppression and equality within life. All the way back to
Right.
63.
Yes.
The outcast.
The outcast. People's pigmentation of their skin was
Yeah.
judged. And
Yeah.
women, women were working in the factories while men were in the war in World War II, and then the men come back and they're like, why do these women want equal rights? Why do they want to keep working? And,
Right.
and even today with all the issues going on today, it's the X-Men have held up over time, and I think maybe that's a part of why all comic books have really held up for so long. Like Batman came along in the 20s? Superman was like the 20s?
Yeah, they were in the late 30s, I think.
Late
or
30s?
That's
mid
what I was
30s.
thinking. I was thinking late 30s, mid,
Yeah,
mid
38.
to late. What I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still around in 2015, so that's pretty awesome for guys like
That is
us
a
that
long
actually
run.
love comics.
Yeah,
and
the
stuff.
modern day mythology,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, that's good stuff.
So I think that's kind of why X-Men speaks to people. So having said that, and having said my background, let's get into the first movie, X-Men.
X-Men.
This was basically the first superhero movie they attempted. In '98, we got Blade, but Blade didn't have a huge audience, didn't have a huge budget. Nobody really knew Blade.
Well, it was more of a
kinda-
horror twist with
Yeah.
vampires.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know anything about Blade going into that either.
Me either.
But-
Now, you
Really.
see, my uncle had some Blade comic books because, I grew up in the 70s.
Uh-huh.
So when he had like some of these comic books laying around, and I tried to read a couple of them, but I'll be honest, it just at that age I was so young, I wasn't feeling
The
it.
whole vampire thing.
It wasn't
doesn't come across well.
Yeah.
It wasn't superhero-y. It was now I can totally get what they were going
Now,
for.
I will say I love the first one out of those three.
What, the Blade?
The Blade, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I enjoyed the movie for what it was,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like a grand comic book movie when it came out.
it definitely wasn't one of like Marvel's
It wasn't
crown
something we were
jewels.
waiting for. Yeah.
Right.
Triple H made his movie appearance in one of those.
Well, that's
back off.
yeah.
Hey, but I'll tell you this, I do remember when Blade came out that everybody was talking about this is a really important movie for comic book guys because if it goes over big, they might introduce some more, of the Marvel characters because it was a Marvel, based picture.
Exactly. So 2 years later, we got X-Men, the first movie. First, we'll start off by talking about the director, Bryan Singer. Bryan Singer was coming off of a great movie, The Usual Suspects.
Incredible
Yes.
movie.
Very
Incredible
good
movie. Everybody loves this. I looked on his IMDb. He's got 16 movies under his directorial belt. I got to be honest, 11 of them I've never heard of or seen. So he's got The Usual Suspects going for him, and I think Bryan Singer is kind of like M. Night Shyamalan. He put out The Sixth Sense. He's got that one grand movie under his belt, and they keep throwing movies at him, hoping he can do that again, and he's just falling short. He's not coming up with it.
I will say I like Science until the end of the movie.
I did like Science.
Oh, dude, Swing Away, Meryl. I love that.
Yes,
Well,
that was
my
great.
whole thing was like, they come to a planet filled with water and they can't get wet.
Oh, dude.
I was like, that is just ridiculous. Come on, that's a stupid twist, M. Night.
I still love Swing Away, Meryl.
I did too.
That was a great line, but I
great.
was just like, really?
That got me a
The-
little
the
emotional. I like
premise?
it.
Water?
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta agree with you.
It was kind of a cool
Hey,
movie.
But
though.
anyway.
Wait, one more thing. Remember when he first saw the alien on TV?
Oh.
Vamonos, children, vamonos!
Oh, dude, I remember
That cracked me
we
up.
we were in the theater, and when they walked across, I got
Yeah,
nervous
it
in
was
my
a jump
seat
scare
when I
right
saw
there,
that.
yeah.
That was good.
No doubt. But Bryan Singer, he's put out that movie. He put out X-Men 1, X-Men 2, Days of Future Past, and everybody's favorite movie, Superman Returns. You remember that movie?
What was it?
Yeah,
No.
Superman Returns. No,
Not really.
not at all. No, it was awful.
Claymation Superman up there in the sky.
So besides Usual Suspects, I don't know, Bryan Singer, I don't know. I'm not feeling the way he's taking these movies, to be honest with you.
Well, what did you think about like his take on the very first one? Because everybody, when they were looking at the X-Men movie coming out, all of the press that was going on before was that they were going to try to make it real life and grounded, which is kind of an overplayed premise right now. But I don't know about you. I was waiting on like yellow spandex.
That's
almost.
exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I give you guys my background because that's what I expected to see.
The uniforms.
Even the animated series was based loosely on Jim Lee's artwork, so I was expecting a certain look. I was expecting, this is our first big budget superhero movie. I want to see Cyclops in a blue outfit with a yellow X across his chest.
Right.
I want to see Wolverine in his outfit, and what we got was not that at all.
No.
And like you said, it's an overplayed premise. They want the realism because they want to give the actors screen time. They want more dialogue than action because they have these big names attached to these roles. And, I get that. I get they want their screen time. They want their dialogue.
Right.
But for guys like me and you that are wanting to see the X-Men on screen, it didn't work. And I was highly disappointed in this movie when it came out.
I won't say I was highly disappointed, but it had elements that really, I was like, oh, come on.
I didn't even feel like I watched an X-Men movie, honestly. I felt like I watched like the sci-fi knockoff of X-Men.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Now, the one thing I will say is like they didn't have the uniforms, and that totally bummed me out because I wanted them to, be recognizable as our characters. But in retrospect, I wouldn't have minded if they had the outfits, and then the black leather that they ended up wearing was another option that they could bring out once in a while.
That's possible.
To where it was like, hey, this is like a different thing that we have so that we have multiple outfits. But to have everybody just say, we're just going to go black leather.
Yeah.
I was like, that's cop out.
Back then, they didn't really know what they were experimenting with either because, now look at Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like a movie completely based in space with these a giant tree, a talking raccoon and stuff, and people ate it up. It's
they're-
one of the
they're-
best-selling movies ever.
Yeah.
It's almost like that they were kind of nervous to go out to that
reach out that
place,
far,
and they're
yeah.
like, man, this
It might not translate well. People might not like
this
it.
might not go over.
But
man.
I think they let studios and the executives get into the mix a little too much.
Yeah.
They have a little too much say, and that's kind of why the movies are based more on the actors and the dialogue than the actual action.
You had Fox, which is still a major problem with
Yeah,
the purists.
it definitely is.
That they're taking and doing like all of these executives who might not be comic book fans making decisions about the movies to try to make it for a bigger audience.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're totally missing the idea. Guardians of the Galaxy is a great, kind of reference, because when you go with the source material and go big, I mean, you're going to have a payoff of people saying, yeah, we appreciate it. That element that you're trying to get rid of to make it broad is what drew everybody into it originally anyway. So go for it. Let it happen, And now, what did you like about it? Did you have certain things that you liked about it?
Well, I was just going to talk about the uniforms first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that, what you were saying, because, I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, why are we not doing what we know?
Exactly.
And that totally frustrated me. But on the flip side, for me, it didn't make that big a difference. I mean, even though it bothered me at first, but after I watched it, I still felt like I saw the X-Men on there.
Really?
And I know
I do too. I
know
felt like that.
a lot of people do not feel that way, like you, Josh. I know.
Well, I feel, the premise of the movie was, they're turning humans into mutants. Magneto
I thought that was lame storyline.
Yeah.
Magneto is convinced, mutants are the future. They mean more than regular humans. They deserve to be here. Humans' time is over. So we're either going to turn every human on the planet into a mutant, or if it fails, it kills every human on the planet. Either way, all we're left with is mutants. That is a very Magneto-esque thing.
Yeah,
you would
I
think
can see
that would
that.
come out of the comics, but it just didn't translate well live. I never felt in that movie that there was any serious drama, there was any risk involved. I never felt like anything bad was actually going to happen.
Let me ask you this: after seeing all three, do you not see that as a setup for the other movies?
But with the Cure and all of that
because
kind
I
of
see
stuff,
that
yeah.
as looking forward, actually not skipping 2 and going to 3,
Honestly, no.
and how that went forward to that.
I think you could have done it without that.
Yeah.
Because if you had everybody hating mutants, and you had an idea, hey, we can get you to be rid of this disease, if you will,
Yeah.
then you really wouldn't need that setup. But I could see where that would, kind of lend itself as the first stage to a setup.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the best they could have done.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Just make everybody look like, hey, we're gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Okay, I want out.
Yeah.
But
But
what-
it just felt like one thing happened after another. It wasn't
What
really
about
like,
the introduction of the characters?
Let's break down the cast. You want to do that?
Yeah.
I kind of lumped Jean Grey, Scott Summers, and Iceman all together. I think they were just okay, no big deal either way. Scott Summers, he's a condescending rich guy who's kind of leads the team. Any student, any college kid in a frat could play Scott Summers.
Well,
so,
for me, he almost felt like he was forgotten in the movie.
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
every now and again he would, oh look, my glasses
he
got on, and I
is.
just blew a
Let's do it.
ceiling out
Yeah.
of.
It's almost like they didn't know how to handle
Yeah.
using him.
Jean Grey, it's the same way. She'd show up now and again, use her powers to save some situation. That was about
Well,
it.
I liked wasn't it
Jessica Famke?
Famke Janssen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked her as Jean Grey.
Well, she did a good job, but she just didn't have a whole lot to work with.
Yeah, I totally agree.
She
with that.
wasn't commanding, To me, Jean Grey is kind of like the motherly second in command of the X-Men. She's
Yeah. Mhm.
she's almost Xavier's level of leadership, but not quite. But
She
this
should
one's
act
just-
like wisdom and
Yeah.
Yeah.
The movie, and Iceman, I don't know, can we even call him Iceman? He was Iceman for maybe 30 seconds of the entire trilogy.
Exactly,
out of
yeah.
the whole trilogy, that was one of the single most outside of Wolverine's outfit never
Yeah.
kind of coming out in any movie so far.
Yeah, they just cracked a joke about it.
To have Iceman not go like full ice until the last few minutes and
Yeah.
do the ice slide in
Yeah.
Days of Future Past, I was
Yeah.
like, what is that?
Yeah.
That torqued me beyond belief. I was like, that.
Wait, in Days of Future Past,
Yeah.
or you mean in X3?
X3. X-Men Unite, or Last Stand.
Oh, that's
Last
right, we're
Stand,
doing
Last
that in the
Stand.
next one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Last Stand, he had that one scene with.
Yeah, Pyro.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Days of
Pyro.
Future Past where he was actually on the
Yeah,
ice
yeah, yeah,
slides
yeah,
and all that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
That took 6 movies to get
It
to.
took
Yeah.
6 movies to get there, and then he had a jacket on. It wasn't full Iceman, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mhm.
But
All right, the biggest
well,
guy.
Scott Summers, though, I always thought Scott Summers, Cyclops to me. At first, I never thought this until talking with some other friends. You remember that iconic Jim Lee cover where you put all the covers together and it made that huge battle
Yeah,
scene,
I
and
do
it was
remember
just
that.
X-Men was the title, not
Yeah.
Uncanny. If you look at it, to me, number one, Scott Summers was always almost like their version, the mutants' version of Captain America. the shot caller in the moment.
Leonardo from the Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles.
yeah,
He's
you
the
know,
leader, you know.
He was the guy that would take and organize the team and call out, you know, patterns and stuff.
Yep.
And like you said, man, it was almost forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like as a, you know, little add-on here. It's like, hey, take your glasses off.
Yeah.
Bam.
It's
Okay.
almost like, oh, you're supposed to be in the movie. Just do something. So and that's it.
And he just came across like a complete douchebag. You know, he hated Wolverine, and
Yeah.
you're like, wait a minute, I like Wolverine. Why are you hating on my guy?
Exactly.
That ain't cool.
All right, well, let's talk about Wolverine then. He's the main character of pretty much every X-Men movie
Yeah.
that's existed. Let's talk about the year 2000 Wolverine. What do you think about that Hugh Jackman when he first appeared on screen?
Okay, you talking about in the first X-Men movie?
Yeah.
X-Men, yeah,
All right.
2000.
It's so funny
Singer.
because that's all. To be honest, that's really the thing I was going to judge the movie by. We talked about Fantastic Four. If I didn't think the Thing looked right, I can't even take the rest of the movie serious. If they get Wolverine wrong, the whole thing kind of falls apart for me.
I know Wolverine. You're a big Wolverine
I'm a
guy.
huge Wolverine fan. And it's so funny because one of the things I wondered about is like, how in the world are they going to do his hair? You know, because I mean, you see it drawn in the comics and it's iconic with this like huge like spike, you know,
It's
horn
almost like a
thing.
trapezoid.
Dude,
on
it's
his
like
head.
it's like, who thought that was a great idea for a hairstyle? It was like, wow, but you know, it was in there.
It's the
but-
hair molded after the helmet, or is the helmet molded after the hair?
We will never know. But that very, very first scene when you see him in Alaska in that cage fight, I'll be honest, that's a good scene.
Yeah.
That was a good scene. I'll agree.
That's a good scene because he has the cigar, he has the attitude, he's, you know, not pretty boyed up and stuff, he's, you know, unshaven and stuff, and he looks like, just give me another one. You know, I want somebody else in here. And he goes through that whole thing. That was fantastic. And then when he showed his claws for the first time, I was so like, how are they going to do this? That first scene, if nothing else in the movie, I was like, you got it right.
Yeah. I
Then it kind of fell apart a little bit you know, after
But
that.
I will say this: I had the same thought. How are they going to do these claws? Are they going to look like cheap plastic? And when they come out, I was like, that
was
is
cool.
Awesome.
And I loved that scene where he says, she goes, does it hurt? And he goes, every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
And I was like, because you wouldn't have thought that. You've been like, psh, psh, goes in,
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
out, no big deal. And then you start thinking, what's literally happening is I'm having knives come out through my skin and cut me.
Yeah.
I mean, they really made a good showing of that too.
Yes.
When they come out, you can see
You
his
can see
skin.
it getting
his
cut.
skin splits, and they come out and they go back in. It kind of comes back together.
Heals back together,
and,
yeah.
and it's got his healing power to heal it right back. And I was like, that was impressive how
That's
they did
pretty
that.
bad.
And I loved because you always see when Wolverine pops his claws, he's like growling.
Yeah.
And now it's maybe not a growl, but a painful howl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, I got to
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
So he's already in fight mode. Like, but I thought that was great.
That was pretty cool.
great.
And now,
hey, that scene in the truck too. I mean, just where he was kind of bonding with Rogue. I mean, they played him really straight. You know, as far as they were taking it seriously. They hadn't gone kind of goofy storyline
I
yet.
absolutely love Hugh Jackman. I think he's a great actor. He's a great human being outside of acting. He's just a good all-around guy. But when I first saw him as Wolverine, you know, he wasn't some 5 foot tall, as wide as he is tall,
Like Bane
hairy
from The Dark Knight
Canadian,
Return? Or
you know.
The Dark Knight Rises?
They've actually talked about Tom Hardy playing Wolverine.
Yeah, I saw that recently that they're saying that's who Hugh kind of said, if I had to pass the torch, that's who I'd like to give it to.
Pass it somewhere else.
Hugh's a 6'2" Australian guy who wasn't super buff when the first movie came out, so I don't know.
And he kind of was like a Clint Eastwood-esque look, you know?
I always imagined somebody kind of like Mel Gibson, like
Oh, I thought Mel Gibson would have been a great choice
Yeah.
back in the day.
Braveheart, Patriot. That
Even
kinda
the first Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, he was just he played a good aggressive guy, and I thought that would come across in Wolverine being just losing it and going berserk.
Well, it's funny you even talked about what kind of shape he was in. One of my favorite stories about this was I was watching interviews right before that movie came out, and they were talking about the physical training for the role. And of course, it wasn't all of these incredible huge transformations where these guys now, like you got Chris Evans doing Captain America and Hemsworth doing Thor, where these guys are normally they're buff, but they're lean guys, and all of a sudden they just superheroed up. He said, well, I knew that I had to take and put on some size for the role and some muscle. And he goes, and I was up in, the filming location, I think it was Canada.
Yeah.
And he said, I went up there to get some supplements and, start doing some stuff with the trainer. And I went into like a local GNC or vitamin shop, and and told the guy, what I needed and who I was and what I was doing. And the guy was an X-Men comic book fiend, like a freak. And he goes, "You're doing Wolverine?" And he looked at him and he goes, and the look he had was pure disappointment. Like, he goes, "Oh, no, bro. Come here. Come with me." And he started throwing all these things into his basket. And it's so funny to see on screen if you look at him in the first movie with his shirt off.
Yep.
I mean, it was not, to me, running around underneath, the X-Mansion. He didn't look all that weak, I wouldn't say. I thought he looked, he's good.
Yeah.
But compare him to his last movie, The
Yeah.
Wolverine.
Yep.
If you look at those pictures side by side, it's ridiculous
It's night
what
and
he
day.
did with
His
himself.
dedication to this role is unbelievable.
Unreal. He even said that's one of the reasons he's got to get out. He goes, "Look here, mate. I need something besides chicken."
He posted a short little video of doing deadlifts in the gym. And
I saw that.
He was a beast.
My buddy Brian sent me his Instagram thing, and it said, "If the bar ain't bending, you
Yeah.
just pretending." And I was like, I love that saying. Good stuff. So good Wolverine, but he has come a long way.
He has
Yes,
definitely come a long
yes.
way. Storm, Halle Berry. What do you guys think?
Except for one line, I thought she did an all right job for what she had.
That's your favorite line, though.
That line makes me want to just slap somebody.
Go ahead, Daryl.
I can't even do it.
Hey,
I can't.
it's funny. You weren't the only one who said that. Everybody screamed about her line.
It's so
Against
cheesy.
Toad.
It's so corny.
Yeah. What happens to a toad when he gets struck by lightning? The
What?
same thing that happens to everything else.
Dude.
Because when she first said it, I was like, I guess the same thing. And then she actually said that. I'm like, Halle Berry, you are
Yeah.
one of the great female actresses.
She's like, "Don't hate. I didn't write it."
Hey, at some point, she should have gone, you really think that's going to work?
Now,
Man.
Storm is a princess from Kenya. She's the leader of the Morlocks.
That I did
She's-
not know that.
Oh yeah.
She's got a little bit of attitude, You you mess with Storm, she'll throw it right back in your face.
Yeah.
She'll snap on you.
Before she was a princess, though, in Kenya when she was growing up, she was looked at. At first, she was like a thief, type of thing, as a little kid just trying to survive. But when her powers manifest, they started looking at her as a goddess,
Yeah.
which is kind of, you see her that regal
Yeah.
kind of action.
Yeah.
So that I didn't get that in the X-Men movies.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Did you guys ever read the Wizard magazine, the comic book magazine back in the day?
The old price
yeah.
guy back
Oh,
in the day.
All
yes.
the time.
Yeah.
You remember they used to always have this thing they would call, casting the X-Men. Hands down, two people who were always shoo-ins were known actors. Number one, Halle Berry as Storm. Everybody wanted that for forever. And then Patrick Stewart for Professor X.
Yeah, we'll get to him.
Yeah, and so when she got the part, I was tickled. I was like, oh, man, here she is. She's beautiful. She has the look.
I mean, she's
got
one
the
of the biggest
acting
names
chops.
in Hollywood then, so I could see the choice. But
Well, like I said, I don't think it was her fault that her part was never, ever realized. Even
not at all.
that's very true.
She
in
almost,
every
she almost
single-
felt like another almost sidekick.
Yeah.
But she had a few decent scenes in it, but
Still nothing.
Storm was
Yeah.
always used in the movies
Yeah.
as, oh, we need some fog cover, bring in
Yeah.
Storm.
The best part I think she had in any of the movies, as far as like when her powers were doing anything, was when they were in the Black Hawk and she created
the
those
tornadoes.
tornadoes.
Yeah.
I was like, that's awesome.
That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
But other than that, let me
Should
blow
have been
some
a
wind.
Sharknado, but they didn't know about those back then.
All right.
I bet you look close enough. They had some sharks in there.
IMDb says Sabretooth was in this movie. Maybe that's the guy that had the pubic hair
that was
pasted
horrible.
to his face.
That
it
was
supposed to be
absolutely horrible.
No, I can't. I'm not going down that with you guys. I did not. In fact, that was one of the things I looked at and I was like, okay, that's not Sabretooth from the comics.
No.
I see what they're doing. That is a big, spooky dude.
Did he even have any dialogue in the movie at all?
Scream for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only thing
Yeah,
he said.
that's right.
He's
Yeah.
supposed to be Wolverine's arch nemesis. And I was
Well,
like,
let
who
me
is
tell you this.
guy?
He was a lot better than Liev Schreiber. And I think he's good. If you see him in some of his stuff.
Yeah.
What's that show he's got out on Stars right now or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Donovan.
Donovan.
something Donovan.
That is a fantastic show. That guy is incredible in that. And he's a tough guy.
Yeah.
But as Sabretooth, this other guy I thought did a better job. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right.
But you didn't like him at all.
I was like, this is not Sabretooth.
I mean, he was in it like right at the beginning when he
Yeah.
threw a tree out in front of the car,
grunting.
No.
and then a little bit later, but he just
Well,
It felt like his part just fell short for me.
Well, it just wasn't enough screen time either.
Yeah.
They're sharing too much time.
Yeah, again, him and Wolverine, that should have been a much better, longer fight.
Yeah.
Well, the
They
other
didn't get
thing.
the relationships right in this movie.
Oh, no,
There were
not at
several
all.
different relationships they didn't get
yeah.
right.
But what did you think that scene in the snow in the woods? I did like, because one of the most iconic meetings of Wolverine and Sabretooth was, it's a classic cover where you have Sabretooth, punching him. He's on top of him in the snow and they're fighting, and I was like, dude, that's really close to they're in the snow and look like the Rocky Mountains, whatever,
Right.
Alaska, and I was like, oh, this is cool. It's just too short.
Yeah.
It was like a promise of a fight scene, like a preview, but you never actually get to see
Yeah.
a fight develop.
That's how I felt about that for them.
All right, Toad, the lamest choice of the movie. Here's our first big superhero movie. We got all these fantastic characters. Let's throw Toad in there, green guy who flicks his tongue out really long.
And he gets struck by lightning in the movie.
I'll say this: he was played by Ray Park, who's one of the best
Dude.
martial art actors
Dude,
there is
he
today.
He is really, really
He's
good.
awesome.
Darth Maul
Yeah.
1 year earlier in 1999,
Mhm.
and he goes from Darth Maul to Toad. I mean, come on.
Did that come out?
That was 99, and X-Men was 2000.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's funny, like you mentioned Toad. As far as the X-Men, their team that they battled, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants,
Yeah.
Toad is a regular. So, for him to be in it, I think was
He didn't
appropriate.
Add anything to the movie? I didn't think that.
Well, even in the comics, he doesn't add a whole lot. I
Yeah.
mean, you got a guy whose power is like jumping and flicking his
Yeah.
tongue.
Wow.
Yes,
poor guy.
Yeah, he can eat a frog. Yeah,
That's really a mutant.
a fly, not a frog.
Yeah,
Yes, he
yeah,
eats flies.
yeah.
There you go.
All right, Sir Ian McKellen, Gandalf. Excellent actor. Absolutely love him.
Yeah.
But I feel he was just a bit too aged for Magneto.
Yeah, I do too.
Wow.
I do too.
I loved him as Magneto.
Really?
He did a great job, but I agree.
Yeah.
I think he was
my
too
Magneto
old.
was the Jim Lee 1990s. He was
Michael Fassbender.
he was as physically intimidating as he was with his powers. He
As a
was-
person.
Yeah, as a person, he was just a scary dude in the comics. And I don't know, Ian McKellen was just a bit too aged because if you think about the time, Magneto was a teen in Auschwitz in 41. So in 63, when the comic starts, that puts him 35-ish. I could even buy 40. So like you said, Michael Fassbender, he
Yeah.
completely...
He's incredible.
Yes, he did an incredible job with that role. I absolutely love First Class and his role in it.
Well, I think one of the reasons that Ian McKellen got the nod for the role was that he did work with Bryan Singer before in a movie called Apt Pupil. If you've never seen that movie, I actually watched it because I didn't know who he was, and I knew he was going to be Magneto. And he's a spooky guy in that movie, man. He kind of gets in this kid's head. This kid kind of like is investigating, like a story, and finds out that he used to be a Nazi. And he kept saying, no, get away, get away. And he all of a sudden comes full turn into this Nazi kind of thing. And that Bryan Singer, since he did that movie, he was like, I got a bad guy. Because he was really, like I said, off the chain as far as this Nazi war criminal that had been in hiding.
Yeah.
But I think too aged for the role. For me,
I think so, yeah. Anything else you want to say?
No, I
about
mean,
him?
I felt, like I say, I felt good about it because the relationship between Magneto and Professor X,
that was
I thought
classic.
I thought that was great.
I thought that was probably the best part of the movie.
Yeah, and that to me, it carried out throughout the entire trilogy.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah,
time.
that's
Yeah.
always been a fantastic relationship between
Yeah,
them
and I
two.
love that.
Yeah.
Which, man, I don't want to jump the gun and talk about First Class, but seeing how that kind of developed.
We have a lot
Yeah.
of good things to say about First
that's
Class
Yeah,
next week.
exactly,
Good stuff.
exactly.
All right, Rebecca Romaine, Mystique.
Hottie.
I think this was actually one of the best roles in the film. I think she kind of nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she was phenomenal.
I thought the idea, as a guy watching the movie, I mean, I'm not going to argue with their choice of costuming, you know? I was like, okay, go with it.
It's like we're putting paint on a naked body. It
Yeah.
works.
Well,
and it's Rebecca Romaine.
It kind of makes sense because, when she's does her transformation and looks like other people,
Yeah,
she can make it look like she's wearing clothes, but, that's actually part of her body that's making those clothing. So
Exactly.
when she's her natural self, her clothes don't mutate as well. So
No, and it was kind of weird because even as a kid, when I was reading the comic book, I never got that.
Yeah.
I was like, because she had like this white outfit,
Yeah.
didn't have sleeves on, and almost like a skull belt type thing with little
Yep.
skulls all around it that was just iconic.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden they bring out this girl, and I was like, Yeah, and I didn't. I'll be honest. It's hard for me to ever like that hairstyle of hers going slick
The
back,
slick back.
red hair. I was just like, not because Rebecca Romaine is so beautiful in her own thing. I was like, but you know, I thought she did great with like her martial art ability, her physicality in the role. They did that really, really good.
I like her as Mystique better than Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, me too.
You know what? I don't know. For me personally, I'm thinking both of those guys are showing a really neat part of that character at different times. But if I had to pick one, I'm going with Jennifer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Upset, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, I can see more of her in the role, you know, like her bringing more things out. And Rebecca, I don't know if she's given a whole lot to do with it either.
Well, I think Mystique is, you know, she's this strong, full-aged woman who's not intimidated by anyone. She kind of commands the situation, and, you know, I think Rebecca Romaine kind of pulled that off because, you know, she's a beautiful woman, and she's going around. She doesn't care who she hurts. She's kicking butt. She's doing flips. I thought she pulled it off really
I don't
well.
think she talked a whole lot in the first series,
not
though.
much, no.
And they made her really a focal point in the later ones, you know.
Okay, best and worst of the movie. Best, by far, Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't think of a better human being on this planet to play that role.
Yeah.
I can't either. And I looked at it and I was like, well, that's a no-brainer. I mean,
Yeah.
of course he's going to do it. We don't even have to ask him to.
Not
He's going to
just
show up and be there.
Yeah.
He's on board too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
everyone knows this.
He was fantastic.
He was
he's
absolutely amazing.
he's made for that role.
Dude, to this day, I can't think of Professor X. Like, if I'm reading the books, I've got that voice in my head while I'm reading the dialogue that he's putting out, which is, I mean, to me, I can't think of a better way to link somebody together. It's like, no, you've merged with him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've done that same thing with Thor and Captain America and Iron Man for the Avengers.
Tony
when I'm reading
Stark.
those, I'm
RDA
Robert
is-
Downey Jr.
I was going to say, so when you actually read the comics,
that's the voice
that
I'm hearing.
voice is in your head.
Yeah.
Oh, without a
yeah,
doubt.
me too. I always wonder if other people did that too.
Oh, heck yeah.
Now the worst of the film. Send your hate mail to Uncle Daryl at theincrediblepodcast.com.
I think you're wrong if you're calling this the second one being the worst.
I'm
are you
talking
talking
about
about-
casting. The worst casting choice of this movie, Anna Paquin as Rogue.
Everybody says that.
Terrible. I'm going to nerd rage on this.
But you
Y'all
know,
go ahead.
no, you know what? I have to go with you on this. Number one, I thought she did a fantastic job in the role, but she's not Rogue.
She is not Rogue at all. You know, she's
a great actress, but
She got such acclaim for being an Academy Award winner, but she won it when she was like 5 years old.
yeah.
That doesn't mean she's still that amazing as an adult.
And I really didn't like the whole thing where they were trying to make her and Wolverine bond as like almost like a father-daughter, or I call it maybe a big brother, little
Yeah.
sister
Well,
Yeah,
thing.
sister,
that was like Jubilee's character. Jubilee,
Yes,
Wolverine
yeah.
found
Yes.
Jubilee, saved her.
Well, before her, Kitty Pryde.
Yeah.
Kitty Pryde probably way more before, you know, the cartoon came out. It was Jubilee.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But Kitty, man, forever was like his little sister.
Yeah.
You know? And
They
making Rogue like that,
Yeah.
Rogue was supposed to be our version of Superman, Wonder Woman combined, you
exactly.
know?
I was going to say Superman. Rogue is the Marvel version of Superman, but even better because she could absorb Superman's powers and kill Superman.
Oh, yeah, totally.
She was rated CBR, Comic Book Resources. She was the #1 X-Man out of all the X-Men with them
For power?
for power.
Wow.
Marvel themselves,
Except for the Dark Phoenix, sorry. CBR, go back and do your homework.
Marvel themselves ranked her the #3 toughest female in the entire Marvel universe, not just X-Men. She was the #3 most powerful female in the entire Marvel universe. So to throw this unsure little kid that ran away from home because she was scared of her powers, that was Jubilee. That was not Rogue. This, you know, I want to see my green and yellow outfit with the brown bomber jacket, the red curly hair. She's like one of the most beautiful comic book characters there is.
Did you have any casting ideas of who you might want to
Maybe
have seen?
Charlize Theron could do it, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
I mean, back then.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, Charlize is definitely, you know, hot enough.
Yeah.
I just don't remember
I think
what,
she's got
what
that
she was
strong-
doing back then.
I really don't know.
I have no idea.
Maybe Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island. Dude, she's a hottie, man.
Rogue,
She's going to be about
53,
50, so
54.
yeah. She's going to be.
Rogue was supposed to be this.
Hey, what about
machine
Cindy
that's
Crawford
Terminator.
even? Somebody like that. A powerful model-looking, you know, chick.
Maybe Kate Upton, something like that. Maybe.
Oh, yeah, now you're talking. But
I
not,
don't
but not this, like...
Yeah, Kate would have been about 10 at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not a junior higher, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, ninth
Like this
graders.
Unsure. You know, Rogue absorbed Miss Marvel's powers and actually killed Miss Marvel, and
Which is where she got.
That's where she got her super strength and her
Yeah.
flight and everything. So I could buy that they're doing pre-Miss Marvel Rogue, but still, even that Rogue, she didn't have that Southern charm. I think back in the first movie, she actually attempted like 3 lines of Southern dialogue, and then it just went away.
It's funny you say that. I don't even remember her having
Yeah.
any Southern dialogue at all.
You
It
know,
just
I do,
vanished.
and I was hoping that they would, but it was just so little, like you said.
And they're like, oh, they're
It
not
just
gonna remember
wasn't-
it. Let's just not do it anymore.
It wasn't Rogue, though. I
It was
couldn't
not
agree
Rogue.
more.
And one of the best relationships in all of comic books is Rogue and Gambit. I love that growing up. I ate them two up.
Oh, yeah,
and
that
that
was
brings
great.
me to my next point, where the blank is Gambit. He's
Well-
my favorite comic book character, and he's not been in these movies yet.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm including Wolverine Origins in this.
Oh,
Gambit has not been in
yes.
these movies yet.
Yeah, not a true version of Gambit. But I'll tell you what, if you're going to say that about Gambit, then that's got to bring up a point. Why would you choose the team that you chose to represent?
Uh-huh.
Instead of that, if you were going to take and say, hey, let's represent this whole thing with the X-Men, then why wouldn't you take and start with First Class? The First Class, not the movie, because I love that movie.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't you have the Angel,
Uh-huh.
Beast,
Beast, yeah.
Iceman, Marvel Girl, Marvel Woman, Scott Summers, and those guys before? And it's because the answer, of course, is because you want Wolverine.
Yep.
It's like,
Right,
okay, well,
right.
if you're going to do Wolverine, then you got to have that team collected.
Mhm.
And instead, they kind of piecemealed it together. Hey, we'll do this and that. It's like, where's Colossus and Kitty Pryde and Nightcrawler?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
There you
that's
go.
a character I got to talk about in the next movie.
Okay.
Yeah, we can run through the second and third movie a little quicker. We just kind of set up the base for the X-Men.
Yeah.
What do you guys rank this A to F? What do you guys rank the first X-Men movie?
When I was excited that it was even coming out, I wanted to give it an A because I wanted it to be successful because I knew if it wasn't, they're not going to do this. But looking back, if I have to be hardcore and honest, maybe a C.
Wow. See, I didn't have the in-depth that you guys had in it, and after I saw it, there were definitely some massive flaws in it, and I still would have given it about a B+ on it.
You see, now,
Really?
if you would say that, that's a good indicator that probably most of the people,
I would say
the
so,
general
yeah.
public, and that's
They
probably
probably
why they
felt
went
that way.
ahead with it.
Well, on IMDb, they had 7.4.
Yeah, that's
pretty-
respectable.
That's pretty
Yeah.
high on that.
See me, I was just a hardcore geek.
Yeah.
X-Men, I had major expectations. All the other films, Iron Man, loved it. The Hulk
Yeah.
movies, loved them because I didn't know as much about the source material. But X-Men was my baby, so I give it a D.
Oh, wow, that low?
Yeah, I won't go full F because it was something. It was the first superhero movie. The budget was like I think 75 million versus the Avengers, which was 220 million. So, they didn't have the effects back then. They didn't have the technology. They didn't have the budget. It was the first try. So, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but still, I was not happy.
That's very little benefit.
very little. That's just one rank above an F.
You had a version of the movie already played in your head,
Yeah,
and it was a different
Exactly.
movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Entirely different. Okay, 3 years later, X2, X-Men United. Same director, basically the same cast. So, Brian,
Yeah.
was it Brian Snyder?
Brian Singer.
Brian Singer. So, how I feel about him.
Mhm.
The additions, Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler, the Incredible Nightcrawler.
I mean, that scene at the beginning, I absolutely loved it.
That's one of my favorite comic
Yeah.
book scenes in all comic book movies because I said, how much more right could they have gotten that?
Exactly. Yeah, I thought they did
That-
him perfectly.
In fact, this movie was better than all of the other first 3 X-Men. This was, their Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, this was their, we nailed it.
This
with
was the best of the trilogy for me as well.
Mhm.
I really loved Alan Cumming. I love the, just the little details they got, like when he did his teleportation and left
Yeah.
the smoke behind.
Yeah.
It's like you could just imagine, you could smell the
Yeah.
fire. and
I agree.
brimstone.
I was like, man, for someone to say, hey, let's figure out what does an imploding BAMF look like, and
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah.
Even the noise, I thought,
Yeah.
that's what it should sound
Yeah,
like.
exactly.
That is a BAMF.
And, I really feel Alan Cumming did his research on this character where I can't say the same for all the other characters. I feel they just played the role. But I really feel like Alan Cumming got into the Nightcrawler role. His demeanor, the way he walked, he almost felt guilty for being a mutant.
Yeah.
He was very unsure of himself. And and very religious. They got the religion right. They got that accent right, the German accent. He was the incredible Nightcrawler. You know, I absolutely loved him. I
love
thought
this
his
character.
role was fantastic.
And I loved every time that someone would introduce him, he would start with his entire story.
Yeah, he would give the circus spiel.
And they were like,
I
yeah,
love
yeah, we got you, bud.
yeah.
I love that.
The White House scene that you guys talked about, and also another one of my favorite scenes when a missile hit the airplane in the middle of the air. Rogue falls out of the back of the plane.
Unreal
That
cool.
was
Wolverine's
great.
like, go get her. And he just vanishes, grabs her out of midair, boom, right back in
That
the
was
airplane.
awesome.
I almost stood up in my seat. I was like, oh my God.
That to me was like, that's a comic book scene come
Yeah.
to life right there.
Yes. Oh, that was great.
I mean, that I couldn't agree with you more. That was like, oh man, I'm gonna buy this DVD
Yeah.
for those two scenes.
Mhm.
the other great addition, Pyro. I liked his character a lot.
Different Pyro from the first movie, by the way. Who was only in the first movie for about 30 seconds.
Little
but
cameo, yeah. I thought he was an excellent villain. He was almost the Anakin Skywalker of the film. He was started out as a good guy, but you know he's just too tempted by the dark side,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
the power was just too appealing for him.
Great analogy.
The best line of the movie for me, the cops come, and this is the moment he decides to go villain. He's
Yeah.
like, you know, all those bad guys you hear about on TV,
Yeah.
I'm one of them, and you know he
Or
starts
did he say
going-
that I'm the worst one of all?
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah, I'm the worst one of all."
And
that
he
was a
starts-
great
That was
scene.
great.
He starts blowing up the cop cars. Like this is the moment he flips. He's a bad guy now.
Yeah. I mean, that scene, phenomenal.
Dude, I'll tell you what. You just blew me away by telling me he was in the first movie, but just for a second. Where was he in the first
You
movie?
remember the same actor, but Pyro was in there for like a second. He was just
Where?
a student in a classroom, right?
Yeah, he was a
Oh,
student in
okay,
class.
okay.
It was a different actor.
Okay.
And you remember when Iceman made that little rose for her?
Yeah.
And he had the lighter behind his back and did a little flame in his hand.
Gotcha. For some reason, I was thinking like,
Yeah, like
they
I
were at the
said-
Statue of Liberty, and it's been
Like-
that long since
like I
I've
said,
seen
it was
it.
all of like 30 seconds.
I got you. That actor, fantastic. That
He-
guy. That guy.
Terrific role. Kelly Q as Lady Deathstrike. For me, a forgettable role. What do you
Yeah,
guys
I
think?
totally agreed with that.
Honestly, I forgot she was in the movie. Till
I think
looked
she's
at
awesome.
IMDb.
But that was not a great.
She
great
wasn't
thing.
Lady Deathstrike. Lady Deathstrike was a half cyborg who was almost alien looking because she got adamantium implanted in her
Yeah.
because she absolutely hated Wolverine and she had a vendetta to kill him. So her arms were like almost as long as her legs. She was this tall, skinny, alien looking woman
Yeah.
that was hell bent on killing Wolverine.
And
this
another
was-
iconic uniform that we didn't get to see, you
Yeah,
know, with like
yeah.
the brown leather wraps on
Yeah,
the,
the
you
little
know.
do-rag and
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
But I don't know, they just kind of used her as a puppet in this movie.
Well, you had this beautiful Kelly Hu,
Yeah.
you know, and they're like, yeah, put her in the movie, man. No,
Yeah.
for real, put her in the movie. Yeah, it'll work. And
She is stunning. I will say that.
Yeah.
She is gorgeous.
but you know what? It's funny because, like you said, in the comic books, I would have believed that the way they drew Lady Deathstrike, that she's going to give Wolverine a run for her money.
Uh-huh.
This is a beautiful woman who's got long fingernails.
Yeah. I'm gonna
That's
attack
gonna
you with
get-
my adamantium fingernails.
And I hate it because, you know, a hero is always judged by the villain.
Yeah.
If the villain,
Yep.
I mean, I'm sorry. Rocky 3 is one of my favorites because of Mr. T.
Barbara Lang.
You know, you had somebody who's like, oh man, he's a killer. You know?
I feel she was just kind of thrown in the movie to give Wolverine an extra fight scene at the end of the
Yeah.
movie.
And because I think
And
because
to
she was
get
a
beat
hottie.
again.
Yeah.
I agree. Not good.
Colossus, also one of my favorite X-Men. I absolutely love Colossus.
I was so frustrated with him.
I
in
was
this
so
movie.
frustrated because he got like 30 seconds of screen
Dude,
time. We see him
that
bulk
is
up, and I'm like,
such a-
yes, here we go.
I love that.
And
yeah.
they send him outside. I'm like, come on.
Like,
Yeah.
That is such a great character. They just like, he's just one of the kids in the room. That's it.
And even the look they didn't get right. They made him like a solid liquid, almost Terminator 2 look
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah, as opposed to like putting like, you
The
know,
stripes.
the lines on him
Yeah.
kind of suggested that these are panels or something, you know. But
Now,
yeah,
before we
I-
started recording, we were talking about Ryan Reynolds redeeming himself in Deadpool. I think they're going to redeem Colossus. Have you guys seen pictures of
Oh
Colossus
my
in Deadpool?
gosh,
I have
It
not
yes.
looks
seen it yet.
freaking amazing.
He
dude.
looks like the comic book came to
Yeah.
life again. And to me, I'm sorry, but you'll hear that from me all the time because, well, why wouldn't you do that? They already have.
That's my
These
complaint
things.
about all these X-Men movies. Why are they steering away from the source?
Every now and then, I'll let that stuff fly and be like, well, you know, we can see another vision.
I'll let it go with anything else, but X-Men
there's some
Spider-Man, I
things-
can't do it.
Dude, Fox is
Fox.
That's what they do.
Fox versus Marvel, you know, when Marvel
it's
made
no-brainer.
Iron Man,
Yes.
they blew it out of the park.
Yeah.
Fox
Easy.
has never come close.
No,
And
no.
they blew it out of the park because they said, you know what? we already have a good story.
Yeah.
If you make your vision according to this guideline,
Yeah.
we're going to give you the playbook.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And they keep saying, well, what we want to do, this is this director's
We have our
vision. It's like,
vision.
shut up. Get a different director then.
Yeah.
I mean, you have, 50 years of vision behind this product.
Oh, I couldn't.
Yes.
Let's change it. It's just ridiculous.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Some other plot points I want to point out about this movie are Magneto's breakout of the jail, all the way starting from when Rebecca Romaine meets the guard in the bar, gets him drunk, injects the iron in his blood. Magneto immediately senses it, and he's like, something different about you. A little too much iron in your blood. He picks him up like force choke style, rips all the iron out of him, destroys the plastic prison around him, makes him these perfectly flat little discs, and just hovers right across this giant gap. Never shaky a bit. He has perfect control of the metal. I'm like, that was one of the coolest scenes ever.
Yeah.
I loved it because number one, I think that was like they put some thought into it because it's an interesting way. Somebody didn't happen to come in with some iron or something,
And
like
you have
that.
to think, how can you make this iconic murderous sociopath of Magneto? How can you translate to a PG-13 movie without him going on a murdering spree?
But I will say this: if I was that guard, that iron would have been implanted in me too. I'm just gonna say that right now. Rebecca Romaine, wow. And by the way, she's no longer Stamos. I'm just throwing it out
just
there.
throwing it out there.
Oh, happy day.
She doesn't have a
Oh,
personnel
happy
on the
day.
end yet.
Oh,
but
happy
things change.
day. Now,
What do you guys think about the whole plot at the end? We're gonna find all the mutants and kill them with Cerebro. Xavier's mind controlled, and the whole mind control thing where they were like, he was back in the school and it was foggy and he saw the little girl. I don't know. I didn't buy that. What do you guys think?
you talking about like on Stryker's Island and
Stryker's
all that?
Island, when Jason Stryker, who by the way does not even exist in the comic books, they made that one up for the movie.
Right.
What do you guys think about all that?
By the way, that kills me when they do that.
Yeah.
Like we don't have enough good characters
Yeah,
for you to choose
they're just gonna
from.
make up something that kills me.
Yeah.
No, but
I don't know. I didn't dig the whole let's flip the panels and all of a sudden Cerebro works differently. And
Yeah.
I thought
oh
it was
yeah,
lame.
yeah. I thought that was lame too.
Yeah.
When they did that, I was like, "You mean you flip them and it's like bad, and if you flip them again, they're back to good?
Yeah.
We'll just flip them again."
Yes.
Nah,
Bizarro panels.
But you know what? It's funny because I see a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's given an allowance because they're like, "Oh, it's a sci-fi movie. They can do whatever they want to do." It's like that don't even make sense though. It's like they
Yeah.
didn't talk about it and
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah.
Because if you talk that out,
Marvel or something.
yeah, it's like if you talk that out, that's not going to float in a meeting of really creative people.
Uh-huh.
It's like, nah, we can't do that.
All right, end of the movie. They're all gonna die. There's a dam. There's a flood coming. They can't get the plane up in the air. What's her name? Jean Grey goes outside. She's like, "I'm gonna hold it off. Give you guys a chance." She starts to glow a little red right
Yeah.
before the end,
Mhm.
and you almost see a little silhouette of a phoenix kind of setting up the next
out
movie.
in the water. Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
little giddy moment for me.
Love that. And I wasn't sure because the one thing that I have a hard time understanding is because in the comics, so many times you think, well, they're indestructible people, but to make a person be out in those raging waters and you kind of get a feel for, well, she's a
She's in
person
trouble.
that has some powers, but there's power in that nature. Yeah, that's
there-
kind of a cool thing to be able to see because you kind of relate to it more.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved the Dark Phoenix. Like it's like, oh, wait a minute.
X3 is gonna be sweet.
Yeah.
All right. what
And
do you guys,
it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. What do you guys rate?
Spoiler.
X2.
Dude, all right, if I give the other one a B, I have to give this one a B plus, maybe even closing in on an A minus. And now I got to give it a B plus because it's still not my X-Men,
Yeah.
But just the Nightcrawler stuff, really, really was cool. And I like the fact that they were expanding stuff. You had this, antagonistic moment, Iceman and Pyro. B. What about you? I give it a B.
Man, I mean, I liked it better than the first one, but not a lot better than the first one because I really did like the first one.
Wow, okay.
I mean, like I say, I'm not great or by any stretch because there's so many flaws in it, but I would probably say probably B plus again. I'll go B plus on it. Yeah.
All right.
I'll bump up from D. I'll bump this one all the way up to a B. I thought it was a massive
Wow.
improvement.
Mhm.
Still not my X-Men, like you
Yeah.
said, but
But
Okay.
definitely an improvement.
massive improvement. One more thing I do want to bring up is Mystique sneaks into the tent to try to make out with Wolverine.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
You got a woman who could be anybody in the world
You
willing
need
to do that for you.
Yeah.
You need to make a connection here.
Exactly. And, she can change her entire body to look like anybody else, but the scar she got in the first movie stays.
Yeah.
What's up with that? That's just a plot point. So we don't recognize
Yeah.
her.
That's the only way so you can say, "Oh, I know who you are."
I will say
Yeah.
this though, that scene though, there was two parts that I can get. I see why he got creeped out when she turned into Stryker, and when she turned into Rogue.
Yeah, I was like, Rogue's like
It's
17
like
here.
that's almost like his little
Oh yeah, like
sister.
14
out
or
there.
15 is how I played. I was like,
Yeah.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, no,
And I
no.
would have like, dude, you got to get out, dude.
No.
Unless you come back as Halle
Yeah.
Berry.
If I gave the first one a C, I give this one a B. Would you give the first one?
I want to say I gave it a B, I believe.
I moved from D all the way up to B.
Okay.
All right.
Definitely.
All right, now we're skipping 3 years again.
Yep.
X-Men: The Last Stand.
New director.
New director Brett Ratner, excuse me.
Yep.
Brett Ratner, who has some pretty good things in his
What kind of
toolbox
stuff
here.
what was in
Money-
his?
Money Talks.
Charlie Sheen and
Charlie Sheen, yep. Rush Hour. All the Rush Hour movies.
Okay.
Yeah, you know those fast-paced, just action, go kind
Yeah.
of movies. That was in his. And he also had Red Dragon, the third Hannibal movie.
Yep.
He
I don't
had
even remember that movie.
Yeah.
Family Man with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
Do not- that was one that I didn't see.
I actually liked that movie. I thought it was
Never
fun.
saw it.
Because you are a family man. I'm not.
But this one, this one was criticized for having too much action, not enough character acting. So that's probably why I like it.
I mean, I thought, for me, this was the best one of the three.
Did you really?
I can't go that far.
I thought this was the best one. And I'll tell you why. Right off the bat, Beast.
yes,
I
was
thought
awesome.
Kelsey Grammer
Was awesome.
was
Nailed it.
phenomenal.
I couldn't think of a better choice.
Dude, same with me.
I mean, going
loved
in,
that.
I was just
thought
like,
that was great.
this is
You
the
want
guy
this-
from Cheers. Is he going to be good in this?
Yeah.
And I was
Were you
like,
a fan of Frasier, the TV show?
not. I thought it was all
I
right.
love that show. And I
I
was
didn't
like,
watch it
oh,
a lot,
that's-
but I like the the sophisticated.
Yeah. I
was
mean,
like,
and when
he
you see
nailed it.
him there, I was like, wow, you jumped right off the screen for
And
me.
they actually made him Beast. I was like,
Yeah.
thank you.
Dude, I think he was
I mean,
fantastic.
you know, one of those first scenes when he's hanging upside down
Yeah.
and someone comes in, he just flips over. Like, that is awesome.
That is
Yeah.
sweet.
and then like as a liaison for the government too, you know, 'cause
Yeah.
that was Beast too. He
Yeah,
was kind of,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know, the ambassador or whatever.
The flip side to that, no Nightcrawler in this movie.
That was
Big
a
bummer.
huge mistake.
Was that like a contract problem with Alan Cummins?
I'm not
That
so
I
sure
don't
on
know.
that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that must have had something to do with that because I was like, there's no reason for him to not be there. Even if you plot pointed away, like he's back home in Germany and trying to go on a quest for knowledge,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, you need him in here.
I
He's
don't
the.
think they even mentioned him.
I don't think
No.
they did either.
I watched today. There was no mention of him at all.
Vinnie Jones, the Juggernaut.
Great idea for somebody that imposing to be the Juggernaut as a known actor.
Mm-hmm.
Was he known at the time?
Well, not as an actor, but
But
as
he-
like a soccer, you know,
Yeah,
tough
He
guy.
was
Hooligan
a
guy.
soccer hooligan. I watched some videos
Yeah.
of him. Dude, he would basically just about beat people.
yeah.
I mean, and he
You
was.
see, I never saw him until.
Oh, dude,
always
yeah,
kinda been
look,
that.
look up some stuff on YouTube.
He's always
He-
kind of
he's-
played that
he's a
role. He was
roughing
in Euro Trip. He was a soccer hooligan.
Yeah.
He was in
I mean, that's
some
who
other
he
movie.
was.
Was it like a transporter movie or one of those movies like that where he was just
Oh,
he
I'm
was the
sure.
hooligan who
Yeah.
just beat people up
But
all
you
the
know
time.
what? Here's the thing. The problem I have with it: the Juggernaut has a look.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He has like a
Very
look-
iconic.
Yeah, and it lends its fact to his powers. There's a certain way that he's supposed to look, and it's not supposed to be a tall, strong guy.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a tall, wide, massive
Mountain of a man.
Yeah, and so I didn't.
Well, the Juggernaut, they completely screwed up his origin anyway. He's Xavier's half brother who has a magical amulet,
Yeah,
amulet
Marco.
that turns him from a normal person into basically a human Hulk who's just
Unmovable.
Yeah, he's just this monster. He's this wrecking ball of a man, and I think he has a helmet sort of like Magneto, where Xavier can't get into his mind.
Well, not only that, the thing about his is that it's actually like permanent. Like he can't get it off either.
Yeah,
You know, which is kind of like one of those things where I'm stuck. So that's probably one of the reasons he's always angry.
maybe.
His head itches.
So I
He
don't know.
cannot scratch his head.
They explained his power. They explained his power in the movie as like unstoppable momentum once he starts.
Yeah, he's
moving,
got
he
got to
can't
get a
stop.
start to do anything.
I was like, how lame is that? They
Yeah, it
just
was.
made him a generic mutant who
Yeah.
runs through walls a lot.
Just like somebody, if they had the right minds in there in the meetings and talked about it, it was like, you guys could have done something else with this guy. I mean,
Juggernaut versus Colossus, man, I would have loved.
that's
to
a
see
moment
that.
right there.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
I would have ate that up. All right, Ellen Page, who I absolutely love as Shadowcat. What do you guys think?
All right. First of all, Kitty Hawk, Shadowcat.
Kitty Pryde.
Or yeah, I'm sorry, Kitty
Yeah,
Hawk.
yeah.
Is there a Kitty Hawk?
There's a Kitty Pryde. There's not a Kitty Hawk.
Oh, okay.
loving the Wright brothers right there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But I
You know,
didn't say
but yeah, Kitty Pryde. I thought that was an awesome casting decision.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, she is so cute and adorable.
Yes.
I mean, she's like, man, you're right on the money for what I would have thought that.
Yeah.
And she had a great way about her too.
Yeah.
You know, like strong enough to be helpful and be a hero when she had to kind of pull through, but she was still young too. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I
just-
thought she was
yeah.
a home run.
The whole love triangle thing with Iceman, though, I could have done without that.
that was completely out of place.
It looked like it was forced.
Yeah.
I mean, because I was watching, I was like, really? Why is this here?
But she's cuter than Anna.
She is.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely true.
I'd have been with Ellen.
Ben Foster is the Angel, another actor I absolutely love. Ben Foster in Hostage.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, he was
What
incredible.
about Alpha Dog? Did you see him in Alpha Dog?
I don't believe I've seen that.
You need to see that. That is unreal. That's where I was introduced to him to see him for this.
Yeah.
That is like a future, you know, Robert De Niro.
Yeah, he's a very strong actor. I think he can.
Unreal. And he's a martial artist. You know that?
No, I did not know
Oh, there, he does some great
Yeah, I know
fight
that.
scenes in there that he moves incredible.
Wow.
Like Conor McGregor spin kicks and stuff. I'm like, yeah.
Now, Angel, I mean, he's not the most important character. He's basically a man with wings.
Yeah.
So there's only so much they can do with him. For what his plot purpose was for the movie, you know, being the creator of the Cure's son and not wanting to go through with it, wanting to be himself.
Yeah, when he's trying to cut the wings off at the
yeah,
beginning.
I dug that.
That was all right. And the thing is, like with his powers, wings, you know, you're always thinking, God, that's going to be tough. Like if you think, like who else in the superhero world has that?
Yeah.
Well, Hawkman.
Yeah.
Still, you're going to have like a slow flapping kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then you see something like the Falcon.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, they could do something with it, but man, it would take some work.
I
'Cause-
think if Apocalypse got a hold of him and made him Dark Angel, they could do some cool stuff.
well, now he's like the Falcon, you know, but a lot more intense.
Yeah.
You know, but it's hard. Like, remember when he busted out the window and you saw him flying, and he looked like this huge, slow flying pigeon.
Yeah.
And I was like, not the angel. Not the angel. It's like, why? Where are you going, dude?
You said pigeon, and when I saw him do that, I saw like an eagle flying out of there, and you saw a pigeon.
Well, because I was like, it just was so slow and like, I was like, nah, I'm not down with that.
Right now, I'm thinking he jumps out the window, flaps his wings as he's falling to the ground, dying.
Watch out for the white stuff falling.
Dude. But I love him as an actor, and I thought like that moment where he actually popped off the table and had his like ta-da moment.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
really commanding, looked the part, looked great,
Mhm.
and then okay, well I guess that's it.
Yeah, basically.
that was the end of it.
Do one little flyby at the end of the movie.
That's it.
I was like, well,
right.
thanks for that.
Let's run through all the B movie characters, the B level characters, real quick. First of all,
I'm going to say that's all the characters I wrote down out of that movie that were new.
Okay.
That was it.
They were the important ones.
Yeah.
All right, we got Callisto, who was the leader of the Morlocks until she got into a scrap with Storm. And Storm won the leadership.
Right.
So she commands this whole segregated group of mutants that
Yeah, the
live
Morlocks.
underground. The Morlocks. She's basically her only power is she has enhanced senses. She can, feel more intensely. She can hear more intensely, see more intensely. So, I mean, that's basically her. They combined her power with a guy called Caliban. He's the one who has the ability to sense the mutants
Yeah.
and tell what their powers were. So they kind of threw that in with Callisto.
Which is too
Changed the
bad
look
because
up.
Caliban, I mean, he's kind of like something you felt sorry for, like this. He was literally a mutant. He looked like kind of a alien monster type of thing, and he was always sad and scared.
Yeah.
That'd have been an interesting visual.
Callisto, multiple man. You got the dude from Grey's Anatomy. I don't know his name, but they kind of used his power for a cool plot. He multiplied himself out in the.
Yeah. So the government would think that that's the whole group.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a cool
It
little
was,
plot.
that was give or take.
Yeah.
It's almost like, okay, I get what you're gonna do.
right.
I don't really need to see it.
Yeah, Leech. Leech I always thought was just kind of cool. He was this meek little green alien kid who could. He stopped other people's powers if they got near him.
Yeah, he
your
muted
power
them.
He muted them. So I thought he was a cool character. So having just the kid, and basically that was the driving plot of the whole movie. They were taking his ability out of him somehow and making a cure, a vaccination for mutation.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting plot point.
Yeah, I would have liked them to hey, if you would have made him recognizable, because until you just said that, I didn't get that that's who that was, and I am ashamed. I'm sorry.
I thought
I
that
didn't get
plot
that.
point was kind of like a real human struggle, though. You're going to have protesters to say, no, we are who we are. We're not going to change. And then you have the people who are kind of ashamed of it, like Rogue, who's
Yeah.
like, maybe I will get this. Maybe I'll go through with it, and I just want to be a normal human. Because the thing about X-Men that's cool. Every other superhero, something kind of happens to a human to turn them into the superhuman. The X-Men are born with a genetic mutation that gives them these powers.
They're just hated for the way they're born.
They're hated for the way they're born, and some of them don't want it at all. I mean, they can have these incredible powers, and some of them are just mutated in the way they look. People think they're freaks or aliens or something.
Yeah, remember that guy's spikes just came out of his face, and I was like, that's it.
Well, I'll tell you, like, one guy, this is back in the second movie when Nightcrawler was talking to Mystique. He said, you can be whoever you want. Why don't you just do it? And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great line. And what'd she say? I shouldn't have to, or something like that?
Yeah, mutant and proud.
And I was like, that was awesome, because you really see both sides of that right there in that little scene.
Love the idea that they did, kind of bring that angle into the story. That was important for the whole X-Men, thing. But after a while, you were just like, I don't think this is going to go anywhere.
Yeah. So they had to throw in a few sub-points to kind of move the movie along. Magneto is recruiting the Brotherhood of Mutants. He wants to stop Leech. Basically, the entirety of the whole movie is, hey, let's go kill this little boy.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a little horrific, right?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I had no idea who he was. I just thought it was some kid in a room.
Yeah, I never put it like you're just.
Yeah.
Was it
Leech? Said that?
Leech.
Yeah.
I never put it like that.
And I just know, like, when you're in this room, you have no powers.
Now
I'm not gonna get my card back for like a while.
Yeah.
Now the worst part about this movie, and possibly the entire trilogy, they took one of the greatest stories in comic book history, the Dark Phoenix saga, and they crapped all over it.
They did.
They boiled it down to a soundbite kind of idea, and it was like, you're right, because that's one of the best stories in comic books, period. And it's like, wah, wah.
Let's just say when she stopped the flood, she lost control of her power. She's crazy now. She killed her boyfriend. And were they married? Was Scott Summers and Jean Grey married, or are they just boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah, I think they were just married. But you know what? That was I could not believe that somebody signed off, hey, I'm going to kill Scott real quick.
Brett Ratner just went crazy on a killing spree.
I just thought that
and
was
then Professor
ridiculous
X
stupid.
Killed Professor X. What in the world?
I was like, why would that go over? Honestly, I'll be honest. At that point, I kind of wrote the movie off. I was like, this
feel
sucks.
the same way. Yeah, I was like, where are you going with this? There can't be any more X-Men movies after this.
Because I hate the idea, well, we're doing a trilogy, so we'll do a reboot after this, and it'll all go. If you do that, then you absolutely have no value to the power of loss. You just killed the whole idea of it. Yeah, it means something. I just don't get that.
Matt Vaughn, he was actually up for directing this role, and I don't know, for some reason it didn't work out, and he's the one that directed First Class, and he said he would have done this completely different. So I would have liked to seen his version of this, but I'm glad he fixed it in First Class.
Yeah,
they just kind of had to say, you know what, we're rebooting this because it's bad what they did.
And now you get a lot of this struggle in comic books anyway, because starting a long time ago, even with Superman, the death of Superman, pretty soon it almost seemed like everybody has to die.
Yeah.
All these heroes are going to die. But and I know, if they're, somebody that has loved the death of Captain America, Johnny Storm, they're coming back.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to feel bad. I almost would get so ticked off at those books. I was like, tell me when he's back and I'll read your book again. But I'm not going to take him
like
by.
Donatello, he come back the next book.
The next book.
It's like, that was just ridiculous.
That was a sad panel, though, dude. When he died. Can't kill the turtles,
Can't kill a turtle. What in the world? All right, last two things I got to say is I dug the Golden Gate Bridge effect when Magneto ripped it all apart and moved it. I was like, that's kind of cool. And Magneto again, the very end of the movie, he's playing chess by himself because his buddy's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And, earlier in the movie, one syringe will take your power, and they hit him with like 6 of them at once.
Yeah.
But Magneto is one of the strongest mutants in the X-Men universe. At the very end of the movie, takes this little metal chess piece and just nudges it. End of movie. I was like, awesome.
That's cool, right?
I tell you why I did not like that scene, because I was pretty sure they were not coming back with another movie.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't like. It's like, you're teasing me that there's going to be another movie, but we all know there's not going to be another movie.
And after the credits, the
Moira McTaggart.
Yeah, the little thing with Xavier putting his consciousness into another body. I was
like, boo.
It's not Professor X, though. Who cares?
You know what, though? There's one part about the movie that, I loved the idea that at the final, the end, that they were going to have a huge battle. Mm-hmm. Because, you look at all these superhero movies, if you don't have them in a super battle, I mean, it's kind of a pointless
I love that battle that they had.
I really did like that. Beast they throw him into the mix,
Yeah.
and he's like swinging around the pole and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, sweet.
My favorite part of that battle, I hate to say this, wasn't really the battle itself, because some of it was good and some of it was okay. I love that Beast moments. But the fact that you saw Wolverine rallying his team,
Yeah.
and he had the other guys that were protecting, but you had these, like you had Colossus and Storm and him and Iceman, and he screams out, "Hold this line!"
Yeah.
Dude, I was pumped, man.
Yeah,
I was like,
pretty
because I could be there, like standing next to him and him screaming at me. I'm like, dude, ain't nobody getting by us.
Because you got a bunch of mutants, but then you got the X-Men.
But you
the
got
core
us.
group. Yeah.
And you see Wolverine getting ready to go into battle like that. I literally, man, I was like, that's cool. And even the way they did the camera, it was kind of panning, and you
Yeah.
saw them
Yeah.
all ready to just dig
Yeah.
in and put their shoulders down and go.
I still don't think Wolverine has been realized as far as being just this berserker rage guy. Like
Yeah.
in X2, he had one little moment where he like jumped in and he killed a couple soldiers. Trying
Yeah,
to take them
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, that's it. I want to see him just lose it one day.
Yeah.
Just go
You know
off
what?
on somebody.
I thought about that too, and I'm wondering how in the world could you make that look? Because literally, like the way he did it in the fight scene, here he is sticking, the knives in, and he is gonna. They are gonna have to have like a samurai sword kind of effect, like going in and taking a little bit of pulling out.
Yeah.
Whereas in the comic book, if he touches you, it's almost like a lightsaber.
laser
It's
sharp,
gone.
yeah.
It's not a. He's
And
like
he's
gone,
got
gone,
one of
gone,
the
gone.
highest kill counts in the comics.
I think that would be how you'd have to do it, just to speed up the,
Yeah.
ability for him to kill these.
And it doesn't have to be people. Let him just cut loose on a bunch of robots. or
Just
something,
yeah. But or zombies, right? Have them just go on the undead. Dude, you do undead, ninjas, pirates, something like
Oh,
that.
and one of the biggest things that ticked me off the beginning of the movie, we see a sentinel. We're like, oh my god, we finally get to see a sentinel.
Yeah.
And it's just a training simulation of a head on the ground.
But you know what?
F you.
I tell you what. Yeah, you know what I did not dig? I hated the size of the sentinel. Because I always liked, some of the famous statues they have of Wolverine, or pictures, is he's like this bug.
He's up on the shoulder.
Right.
trying to,
Yeah.
like, chop the
And
neck or
he's
something.
like, if he's on the head, it's like huge.
Yeah.
Not like it's up to my knee and I'm grabbing it like the Hulk grabs a piece of car to make
Right.
boxing gloves.
Right.
But I tell you, the other thing that ticked me off about that was with Wolverine, the fastball special
Uh-huh.
with
Yeah.
Colossus.
Yeah.
In the comics, that I remember. Well, remember with Batman.
Uh-huh.
When Batman would grab Robin and pick him up and kind of throw him into the fray. Here it is. Colossus would always pose like he'd point his arm where he was going to throw him, and he'd have his hand perched like he was a waiter holding like a platter, and Wolverine would go, "Petey, fastball special," and he'd run and jump into his hand, and he would launch him with him standing on his hand because he's small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here you got a Wolverine that's 6'2".
Yeah.
I've got to grab you and do midget tossing.
It almost looked like he slid on the ground.
Well, he
Yeah.
grabbed, like, you ever see like when they toss the midgets and stuff?
Yeah.
They grab him.
Yeah.
They grab him by their pants and their
The
collars.
little people,
The little
to be
people.
politically correct.
Politically. We
I don't
apologize,
think
man.
they call it little people throwing. They call it midget
I've seen the
tossing.
TV show. It's the little people.
But when they do it, I mean, here's this drunk frat guy kind of spinning
Yeah.
3 times to heave him to a Velcro wall or something. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden he goes, whoa, 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 like Santa's reindeers or something. I did
impressed.
not dig that.
Not at
Well, what
all.
about in the fight scene where you have Magneto flinging the cars and you got Pyro catching them on fire as they're going? Did y'all not love that scene?
It was alright, but I mean,
I
it's
thought
just
it was
kinda
awesome.
God, it's been so long since I've
And
seen
you
the
had,
movie.
You
I was
had like
I don't remember.
a view from away, and you see those flames look like they're coming right out of him,
Yeah.
shooting up at these cars and catching them on fire as they're going.
kinda neat.
I thought that was pretty cool.
It's funny too that you mentioned Pyro, because one of my other favorite parts, I was so on the edge of my seat when Bobby did, because you could tell Bobby was scared in all of the movies,
Yeah.
Iceman.
Yeah.
And now he had to face off to him, and this guy was just full of aggression. Like, this is the moment I get to finally crush you, you
Yeah.
weak kid,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he just brings it, and I remember thinking, you got to go full ice.
Yeah.
You got to bring it, and they did.
If I remember, I think when we were in the theater, like people actually cheered at that moment.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that was awesome. In fact, I was like, yeah, because if you look, one of the things they say is that he's like one of the unsung strongest forces of nature in the whole Marvel universe. If he goes completely, he's almost like a Phoenix power.
Yeah.
And for him to just sit there and be in his moment, and you could see it like, all right, this is my time. I love that.
Yeah, I did.
I was one of the guys that came out of his seat. For it.
Geeking out.
So what do you give it?
See that, like I said, I thought that was the best one. Even though, wow, you mentioned a lot of plot holes that I totally.
Did your grade drop?
Well, it went from like A to A minus, but I still loved it. I mean, again, for me, the biggest problem I had with it was the what's his face? Oh wow, Cyclops.
Oh, yeah.
That okay, he's here now. He's gone.
Ditto.
That right there, I was like, that's horrible.
Sunglasses.
That was a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that to me was like the biggest point of contention I had.
And what did you still give it? A B minus or a B?
I gave it an A.
An A.
But just that
You gave that an A.
I gave that an A because again, I love the end scenes, and I know y'all did not like that anywhere near as much as I did. That the whole fight scene, the moving of the Golden Gate Bridge, all that stuff. I love that scene.
I wish I would have. I wanted to, but I was
Yeah.
so ticked off.
I wanted to as well.
Y'all were
but,
so
just
wrong, but
all
that's okay.
All the deaths of the core characters.
That
They killed Phoenix. They killed Cyclops. They killed Xavier.
Well, again, I looked at it. This is a trilogy, and there's not gonna be another one.
You know, it's like, what
I
do
don't
you do
care.
now? Reboot or
to make it, important, especially if you know it doesn't matter. Kill him. Kill him. That'll get him. Yeah, kill him. It's like, what?
Well, don't worry, there'll be a lot for the next movie.
That's like Joss Whedon. He's got to kill somebody in every
Yeah.
movie. And I was
Right.
like, stay away from Cap.
yeah.
I will find you, Joss.
So what was y'all's grades?
Oh man, C minus.
I go C.
And I thought one of y'all would give it an F bomb there.
No, I wouldn't F bomb it because
I still liked it better than the original.
Yeah.
stand your line. All good
Well,
stuff.
IMDb gave it 6.8, the lowest of the three.
Yeah, I have to too.
They had a lot of criticism about this movie. They thought it was too much action, not enough acting.
Well, and not only
See,
that, but
I didn't have any problem with that.
the whole
didn't either.
idea with Matthew Vaughn and Brett Ratner, there was a lot of turmoil, script changes, plot directions, and all this. And I think it showed as like a disjointed, like, hey, we got to try to pull this together. We are on a schedule. This
Yeah.
is a business as well as art.
Yeah.
And it didn't work for me at all.
Yeah, it didn't work for me either.
And Brett Ratner was like, they brought him in as like, can you do it? Yeah, man, I got this. And I was like,
He's used to
boo.
those fast-paced action movies anyway, all the rush hours.
Yeah,
and-
move. I mean, dude, you work
I
with
did-
Jackie Chan, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
So that's the first trilogy. I know we were pretty critical, at least I was. I was pretty critical on this one. But I have fantastic things to say next week about First Class. That's the best of all 6 movies for me.
and fantastic things to say about Wolverines.
We won't go that far.
And Days of Future Past, there were some high points in there, too.
There
Yeah.
were, yeah.
To be honest, I thought there was high points in here, but overall, you could tell this being one of the first super movie trilogies out of the gate. You could tell where they're finding their way.
Yeah, they were. They tried.
Fox, sell the rights back to Marvel now.
Please. And Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're giving them a chance, but just fully give them back to Marvel,
exactly.
please.
Man.
Exactly.
Disney, come up off the money.
Come on, that mouse don't have enough money.
That
Who are we
mouse has
kidding?
got billions. He owns
That's the
Star
richest
Wars and
mouse
Yeah.
everywhere.
yeah. So I can't wait. Next week will be fun.
Next week will be fun.
Yes, sir.
Anything else, guys?
No, I'm ready. I'll have to go back and make sure I watch First Class again.
I'm
Anyway,
gonna have to watch all 4 of them again.
that's almost
Two
not
of them I
like
don't want to watch, but I'll watch them anyway.
We'll just pretend Origins didn't happen. So.
Okay.
we have the best homework of anybody to be able to say, "What's your homework?" I got to go watch the
I
X-Men
gotta-
films
I
again.
gotta go watch comic book movies.
Somewhere
Sorry.
does not sting.
It's tough, but I gotta do it.
So next week,
Next week, same incredible time, same
same
incredible
incredible channel.
Peace out.
See ya.